All right, cool. Live from Syracuse University. Cool. Thank you so much. Good. Everyone can see and stuff. Awesome. Hey, everybody. How's everyone doing today? Awesome. Happy Friday. I'm going to pump for the weekend. I know I am. So I'm Keegan Slattery. I work for LinkedIn. I'm an account manager at LinkedIn within the marketing solutions department, which is essentially one of our many business lines, which sells advertising and ad space on LinkedIn. Essentially, I work with financial services clients, who want to advertise and market on LinkedIn. So that's my particular job there. I actually graduated undergrad in 2013, so not too long ago. I was a dual major in the iSchool and in Whitman in entrepreneurship. And then that actually led to me kind of my career path. Just let's talk about career path a lot of LinkedIn. Career path started at an internship. So I saw like a random Newhouse email, I think, or an high school distribution email about a job at LinkedIn of an internship in New York. I was like, all right, I'll apply to this. This sounds cool. Ended up getting the internship, which turned into a full-time job. So my whole career since I left school has been all LinkedIn. So it's my bread and butter. It's my baby. I love the company a lot. So today what we're going to go through is I'm going to go through basically things to make your profile kick ass. We want you guys to have the most in-depth profile, all the right kind of things you want to have in your profile so that recruiters can find you, potential employers as they're browsing you, hiring managers. You can make sure you're expressing your professional brand as well as possible when someone comes and visits. So I want to start going through that stuff. And if you guys have questions, please raise your hand. I don't want to be totally just like preaching the whole time. If you guys have questions about something, raise your hand, ask it. And at the end, we'll also have time for questions about LinkedIn and about anything else you guys want to ask me. So I'm here to be a resource and help you guys out. Does that sound good? Awesome. Cool. So we'll start off. What is LinkedIn? Basically, what's the platform all about? I know from today, I've done a couple different sessions with people, and we've gone from people who've never had a profile before and like just set one up to people who have one that's already pretty advanced. So we'll kind of do the whole swath here and take a look at things. Then we'll look at what you guys can do to leverage LinkedIn and what you need to do to get started. So LinkedIn, as opposed to Pinterest, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Google, LinkedIn is your professional identity. It's where it lives online, where you're professional in the working force. It's your professional brand. It's a digital representation of who you are. So on LinkedIn, the conversations and the context you're going to have LinkedIn are very different than the conversations you're going to have on Facebook. You're not posting about the party you went to. You're not going to party events on LinkedIn. That's all reserved for different types of social media outlets. And we like to keep that very separate. At LinkedIn, we're all about the members, and we're only focused on the professional lifestyle of our members. So that's kind of really the context. That's why all the decisions we make are to drive forward that value proposition of providing the best place for people to connect with jobs, connect with opportunities, and better their professional careers. So just a little bit of background. We have oodles and oodles of information and people and companies you can go with. We've got over 380 million members. That's 2 members are joining every single second. So we're growing like crazy. The US is still growing a lot. We're expanding a lot in all sorts of countries around the globe, especially China, India, Brazil, and different parts of Europe. Our membership base is growing internationally as well, so not just here in the US. So it's really exciting to be a part of and kind of see as these professional relationships are being built all around the globe. Now, so quick quiz. LinkedIn is not only for professionals who are in the workforce for the last 40 years, but for students as well. So what do you guys think? How many students and recent grads are currently on LinkedIn? A, B, C, or D? It is D. Essentially, you guys are the fastest growing group on LinkedIn. And it makes sense, right? We're the children of the baby boomers. There's a ton of us out there. And so we're going on LinkedIn, and you guys, yourselves, me included, are all trying to find the best. Wearing something you will be wearing in the type of career you're looking for. So let's say you're in a financial services category, you probably want to be wearing a tie in your picture. If you're much more of a creative graphic design side, maybe you want to have a little more casual picture. So you want to cater this towards what your professional identity is. What do you like as a working person? So having these, you guys can all get the profile pictures taken. Hopefully you did that earlier. It's key to have those. You get 11 times more views on your profile when you've got a professional photo there instead of just like the blank, no headshot at all. So that's important to have. The second thing is having a good tagline here. So this isn't just saying student at Syracuse University. It's describing who you are and giving a little kind of inspirational, little nugget of information about your profile before someone even clicks into it. This shows up in search results when it comes up and what you put in there. So for me, mine says digital marketer, problem solver, and idea man. That's what I do. I'm a digital marketer. I work with marketers all day long. I love solving problems, and I'm a big idea guy. I throw things out constantly. And so I want to express that right off the bat in the top of my profile. So you don't necessarily need it to say just account executive or account manager. That's pretty straightforward and somewhat redundant because you have that same listing down below in your experience. So put something there that's a little engaging and kind of talks to you a little bit as a professional. Aspiring architect, aspiring website developer, passionate sports marketer, whatever that might be. Find a way to kind of express who you are a little bit right in that top headline. Of course, you want to have your experience, your current experience, where you've been, your education. Make sure you get SU on there. This is a good, kind of top, we call it a first card, your profile card. This is a great example of a really good one there. Here's an example of not a good profile. Erica Robertson, account exec, San Francisco. Tells you nothing. You see this and you don't know who this person is. It's not capitalized. It's just giving you nothing about their identity other than the person's first name. Question?
Yeah, what is your take on cover photos? I noticed you have
on a cover photo? Oh, the background?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you can do, this is an older version of the profile, I think. So absolutely, I think I've seen some cool examples. Mine is just like a picture of I'm from Colorado, so mine's like a picture of a ranch scape in the background. Do something that you like. If it's kind of creative, you can make it a solid color. I saw somebody today, he had a great profile and he's in IT and his background was this cool kind of graphic of ones and zeros and kind of digital stuff in the background. I mean, nothing super distracting, it's not like your picture on Facebook, which is you and all your friends hanging out. It can be really blasé, it can be really standard. It's not a big deal. But if you want to be eye-catching about it, you can be. Even a simple background, that's just kind of something else to make your profile look a little more distinguished. So it can definitely include one. It doesn't hurt either way, I think. It just kind of makes your profile maybe a little more interactive. So anyway, this is a bad profile. A lot of work to be done, one connection. This is what it'll look like when you first start, but there's a lot of things we'll do to build things out. My big pet peeve is capitalization. Everything you guys have there, remember, people are your potential employers. Make sure you're spelling things right, make sure you're capitalizing. Take the time to go and look through that type of thing. All right, so we're gonna go through now. Sorry, I'm flying through here. Everyone good? I tend to talk really quickly, as you can tell, sorry. All right, so here's the 10 tips we're gonna go through. Kind of the core nuggets of things you wanna make sure you take care of to tell, and have a really effective LinkedIn profile. So starting off, we already talked about the first one, adding a photo. Make sure it's you in a professional setting. You want to make sure, it's well chosen. So here's a couple of cool examples. So what's wrong with these photos? You can kind of tell. Some of them's less professional and athletic wear. This lady's obviously out to dinner drinking with her friends. This is a very kind of unflattering picture because it's blowing up the light. It's really weird. He's trying to be too business savvy. This guy's on a ski trip. It's that's not what you're doing in your professional. When you meet this person, they're not going to be in this setting. You want it to reflect what you're going to be like when you meet someone in a business setting, whether it's an interviewer or something like that. So here's better versions of all those people's headshots. Sure, they're kind of standard, but it's professional, it's focused. Someone will trust you to take big business decisions more based on these photos than maybe on these photos. You want to represent yourself well. So luckily we have the pictures going on outside, so you guys can do that. The next one we talked about, writing a compelling headline. So like I was saying before, this is really basically your newspaper headline. When you look at a newspaper, it catches your eye, it explains what's happening, it's intriguing, it makes you want to learn more about this person. And so that's what you want to try to accomplish when you're writing your headlines for your profile. So here's a good one. Financial analyst, driving organizational success, leveraging data to tackle complex challenges. That communicates a lot. You know what this person does. They're data-driven, they love tackling challenges, they're a problem solver, and they're financial analysts. So they're in that field. So it still explains what field they're in, what industry they work in, but it gives a little more context behind it and sounds a little more personal. Financial analyst, Morgan Stanley. There's a ton of people who probably have that same thing listed on their profile. Same with student at Syracuse University. That doesn't say much else. You know, you want to try to communicate that as quickly as in a short and sweet paragraph. So Andy Stankovich, who is also here, the other LinkedIn alum, hers is social selling wizard and cold call assassin, because that's like explains what she does on a regular basis, and it's fun. It catches the eye. I've got a friend who's just professional doer at LinkedIn because he's like a jack of all trades kind of person. You know, find something way that's a unique way to do it. Yes.
Should your headline project what you plan to do or your current status? So I'm a graduate student. Would the graduate student relating to that or what I hope to do?
I think you could do it more what you hope to do. So I was talking with somebody today who's an architecture major, and for them it could be aspiring architect, you know, aspiring business music, aspiring businesswoman, you know, that kind of thing. You know, you could really change it. I think that's a good way to do it, to say you're aspiring or you know, so working towards that field, graduate student, focusing on this and this and that, you know, whatever your field might be. So you can include that, and I think it's okay to keep that you're a student in there. That way people know when they're looking at your profile, this person is a student, they're still in school, they kind of know that, and that's part of the context of what your profile is going to look like while you're a student. Cool. Your public profile URLs. This is a little nugget on the profile. Basically, your default one is going to be a string of random letters and characters, but you can actually go in LinkedIn in your settings, and you can go in there and you can make your own custom like link. You want it to be as close to your name as possible. So as you're going in there, you can basically say, mine is linkedin.com/in/Keegan Slattery. That's really straightforward. If someone wants to actually just type that right into the URL address bar of a browser, they can get right to your profile. And the beauty is, since you've made it more vanity, kind of a vanity URL, you can put that on your business card and it looks good. You know, you can have that on your business card. You have that in the signature of your email. So you send an email to someone proactively about a job or about an interview or an opportunity, they can go right to your profile and then find out more about you really easily. So I really recommend including that in like your signature of, you know, of your email stuff as you're sending out communications to people. Adding your contact information. So like I said, it seems really obvious, but it's important to make sure it's easily accessible, especially with recruiters. A lot of times they'll use LinkedIn to find a phone number and pick up the phone and call you. Or they'll need to find your email and send you an email as opposed to a LinkedIn message, which both will take place. You know, and make sure they can get out and contact you quickly. You want to make it easy for them to find you and then find you and know a lot about you in a short period of time. That's what, you know, LinkedIn's really trying to do here. So you can set website links as well. I think there might be another one later on. So never mind. We'll get to that later about the website links. But it's easy to make sure by default you're not going to see this stuff. So make sure you can express this out there for anyone else to find. Since it's not in your by default, I guess you can't see someone's email and phone number. So if you want somebody to reach out to you, put that in your summary at the very top, which we'll talk about in a minute. You can put that elsewhere in your profile, just written in, so that they can easily find you and get a hold of you.
They can only see that if you connect with them, right?
I believe so, yeah. I guess this is saying, yeah, according to this. First degree connection, so someone I'm connected with directly can then see my phone number and my email. So if you want that information available, make sure it's written in somewhere else. Adding rich media. I'm a huge fan of this. I don't do it super well on my own profile. I'm like learning things I need to do better on mine while I've been going through this process today. But rich media is the ability for you guys to add like PDFs, videos, presentations, and examples of your work. So if you're in a creative field in graphic design or website design, if you've been on a really cool project and you put together there's like a summary video of something that happened, this kind of stuff just totally brings your profile to life. So you can put it underneath your experience and show an example of not only did I work at a graphic design firm, here's the stuff that I made, here's what I'm doing. And so everyone can have a visual representation of your work right there on LinkedIn. And when you scroll through someone's profile who has rich media, you'll notice immediately because it looks great. It's all these like really nicely rendered pictures of it. It opens up in the middle of their profile. They can look through it, all your things. You know, so if you have a portfolio of sorts, great place to put this. You can even do writing samples. If you wrote like a paper, or let's say you're in PR and you wrote a bunch of press releases, you can put examples of your work there as long as you have permission from your prior job to do that. So make sure that's good. You get in trouble with that. I did that once. So yeah, it's really an awesome way to enhance your profile and make sure, again, when a recruiter comes, they don't need to ask you later for examples of your work. It's already there. Customizing links to the websites. So if you happen to have your own website, like I have KeeganSlattery.com. Don't go there. It's really bad. I haven't finished it yet. But it's you want to make it really easy for someone to go to your website. So this is more of a sales thing. Viewing our data sheets, downloading things, watch a product demo. Go view my portfolio here. Go see an example of my work here. You can really customize these links to drive people where you want when they get to your profile. If you have something unique online you want to show them, especially if you built a site, or let's say you have a project here at Syracuse, there might be like a really long, weird URL that it takes to get to that project that you made. Like it's stored on like a Syracuse server, and it's like syracuse.ischool.this/that. Use this to customize your link and make it much easier for someone to get there and much more friendly than just a long string of random characters and numbers. Okay, everyone good so far? I know I'm flying through. Cool. All right, tell your story in your summary. So this is a huge one that I talked to a lot of people today. The summary is the first thing they're going to see when they get to your profile. A lot of people don't even have one, but it's really important to. This is your chance to communicate yourself and your professional brand outside of like the specific experience that you have. So there's a distinction between like the stuff you have in your jobs and then the stuff you have like professionally. So I like to think of it as you're telling your professional story of what you really like and things outside of like, I worked in manufacturing doing this and this. So this is your chance to really let somebody know kind of who you are as a professional, what you're passionate about, what things you've worked on in the past, what sort of fields you want to be in. So even though you might have worked in like product management, but you really want to be more of a software developer, you can put that here. If this is where you kind of cater your all of your skills and showcase them in a much more conversational way. First thing, don't use third person. You wouldn't use third person if you're sitting in a job interview and they say, tell me about yourself. Like, well, Keegan's a really inspiring marketer who likes doing this. That's like really bizarre and weird. So do it in a conversation, the way you would be talking to someone if you were sitting in an interview. So here's a great example of one. I don't know if you can all see it back there, but talking about your background, your current company, or in this case, what you do as a graduate student, for instance. What are you researching right now? What papers have you been writing? And then finally, your passion and something about yourself. The big thing on LinkedIn is people think it has to be this very buttoned up. It's your professional identity. It's really buttoned up and really conservative and formal. And this is your chance to break out of that mold and show you have a personality. When people want to work with you as a hiring manager or a manager, they're going to look at your profile and try to see what you're like as a person before they even have to call you on the phone. So in the bottom here, I always find it's good to talk about things that are not strictly about my professional identity. I like to go out. I like to play with quadcopters, and I'm a big downhill skier and all these things. Those are little nuggets you'll find people will reach out to you about and they'll connect with you about because you mentioned you're really into this. I spoke with somebody today who said she had someone reach out because she's a yoga instructor, and she talked about how yoga had really changed her professional life. And out of nowhere, somebody who was a director at a company had reached out to her directly and said, wow, that's amazing. I feel the same way about yoga. And that kind of like sparked the whole conversation. And so this is your chance, once you've had your background in your company, you're professionally talking about it, to get your personality across a little bit in your profile. Any questions on that?
What's a call to action?
A call to action? So here's, I guess it's a little more of a sales thing, but call to action. You want to contact me? Here's how you can get a hold of me. If you want to discuss something further, it's kind of like once they get to the bottom of there, it's like, hey, you want to talk a little bit? Let's see what's going on. They've already read your profile. Let's connect. So it could be a call to action, like I'm open for opportunity discussions or something like that. Any other questions about the summary? I know it's like I get a lot of questions about that normally. So.
How far back should you go for your back?
Boom. We'll talk about that right now. Good question. So update your current and old positions. So for one, just talking about experience in general. Before we get into the numbers of it, I'll address that. But you want to ensure that you're going back to what's relevant. And when you're looking at this and you're talking about your past performance, you don't just want to list it and then take whatever's on your resume and copy paste it in there with bullet points. That's what your resume is for. Your LinkedIn profile is to express your brand and communicate in a more human way of who you are. So here's another one. Current and past positions should include, talk to your employers about how you solve their business problems. Not just saying I manage this, I collaborated with this, I developed this. You want to make sure you're kind of being specific, but also doing it in a more conversational way. The way I always explain this is if you were sitting across the table from an interviewer and they said, what did you do when you were an account executive at Spindynamis Software? What did you do? You wouldn't list off bullet points. You would sit there and explain, oh, I worked every day directly with the development team. I took in, all these inputs from what they believe were product enhancements they wanted to make, and I translated those into much more technical specifications. Great way to explain it. And that's so much easier for someone to read than bullet points. Does that make sense? So, you know, also you want to use keywords. So if you do something specific, if you're in a technical field, you want to list the things that you did. If you're in Java development, or if you know how to use CAD, AutoCAD software, you know, you're an engineer and you want to talk about the different types of engineering or cement that you learned how to pour. I don't know what that means, but anyway, you want to make sure you kind of include that kind of stuff, because that's what people use when they're searching. Recruiters search all the time, and that's how they end up finding you. And so it's good to include that a little more specific stuff, as well as the high level of what you really did in your job. Of course, include rich media. So this is what I was talking about earlier, about it being able to have a PDF, or let's say you put together a great presentation, showcase that. That's a chance for them to see your work right off the bat and get to know you very, very well. So your career trajectory, and it's a great question about how far back you should go. Should I put the fact that I worked at a restaurant for 3 years in high school on there? Not unless I'm trying to get a job in event services or catering or hospitality. So you want to think about catering your profile as though you're trying to go for your dream job. Just like you cater your resume to what you're applying for in that particular position, it's best to think of your profile as like, what do I want my dream job to be, or what's my next big step? So you want someone who's going to pick you up after graduation. How do you make your profile look towards that industry, you know, as appealing as possible? So you can eliminate some things that aren't really relevant. You know, you don't need to have 14 different positions that you've had. Take the top 5, maybe maximum 7-ish positions that were extremely relevant, you know, and really are going to help you have a conversation and prove why you'd be an asset to that employer. So you don't need to have a lot of things in there about, you know, when you worked at, you know, a lifeguard in high school, that kind of stuff. Yep.
So what about for us freshmen who are just out of high school, and basically that's essentially all we have right now?
Then that's fine. You know, if that's all you guys have too to start with, that's a great place to start, because as you go through school, you're gonna be able to add there. You need something on your profile. So sure, put that on there and talk about how you learned something great in your description of it. You know, even though you might have just been working, you know, the Shake Shack at a country club or something like that, you know, you can still say how, like, I talk to a lot of customers there, I network with a lot of people there, you know, and it's still good to have that because it's what you have right now, and so you'll build off of that over time. There's a good question though. You can still include those things. It's just a matter of, you know, finding the right place for it. And so you can also do things like currently. If you're currently a student, a lot of people just put student and then Syracuse University and talk about what they're studying even more. It's another chance to kind of say, I'm in an entrepreneurship program, I'm in marketing right now. So you can put that as a line of experience if you don't have a lot else. Any other questions about the adding of, you know, different positions and stuff? Yeah.
In our undergraduate degree, we had some sort of clubs and everything. So we were like the head of the club or anything.
Mm-hmm.
So would that be helpful? Like, can we showcase that? Like, we are a freshman, we are just joined into graduate degree, and we want to like showcase like, okay, we were sort of a team leader and all those. Can those be shown over here?
Absolutely. So yeah, if you want to make that as part of your experience as, you know, graduate student, whatever it might be, you can do that here in this section and say, yeah, I was also a team leader at this club. You know, I helped lead this initiative. It's a chance to maybe showcase a specific thing like that where you're a leader or able to do something. There's also a section, I think, for extracurriculars and kind of like volunteer things and kind of outside parts of your profile you can add as well.
Could we put the link to that?
I don't think links show up. I'm trying to remember if links show up directly in there. You could put like a rich media in there though.
So if I've been like an editor of the magazine, so can I put the link to the magazine?
Yeah, you could probably put that. I would say shorten it. So even though like it's down there and like space out a little bit so that if it doesn't, I'm not sure if it hyperlinks automatically on the profile, I forget. But if it doesn't, then they can just like copy paste it really easily to have a link to the magazine. And if you like did some work for the magazine, why don't you just do like a picture of the cover of the magazine or like an issue that you helped out on specifically, and you could talk about that and say, you know, I helped deliver the, you know, February issue of, you know, what the magazine was, and then put like a PDF version of the first couple pages there in the rich media.
You've written like an article in something, it's related to your profession. Can you put that up as well?
Sure. So on my profile, I didn't even write it or anything, but it's the Sophisticated Finance Marketer's Guide to LinkedIn. So all my clients who see me and they know my relevance as an account manager, they'll come to my page and they'll see that, and it's immediately helpful for them. And it shows that I'm working in marketing, I'm, you know, engaging with finance professionals. So it kind of enhances my profile a bit. It doesn't always have to be your own work. It can be something that's really relevant to that particular position. Like infographics or something, it could be helpful.
You can just post stuff like that too. You don't need to have it on your profile, but you can just, you know, posted it?
Yeah, you could post it to your network as an update. That's another way to kind of share. But in terms of things on your profile, you'll see there's like a little, when you actually edit, it says add media. And then you can do a document, a PDF, a video, like, you know, writing samples, that sort of thing. Adding your education. So this is super important, and I'll get into this a little more because I have a couple good tips about the education thing and like networking on here. But totally, if you guys went to, you know, somewhere else for undergraduate and now you're here at Syracuse for graduate school, include both of those colleges on there. Make sure that you have that. A lot of people search like this. Recruiters, if they're looking for a new job and they happen, the first one they see is someone who went to Syracuse, they went to Syracuse too, they're gonna be like, oh, let me check out the Syracuse candidates first. That's a good see. You know, they'd rather kind of source from their own school. I'd rather do that. I'm sure you guys would too. It's like, you find someone in Syracuse, I kind of know them. So keep this on your profile. It's important. It helps you connect with people later on. And you can use this on someone else's profile if you ever need to reach out. Say, oh, I just found this guy went to Syracuse too, or so-and-so went to Virginia. That's awesome. You know, I went there, my brother went there, and this kind of thing. It's a connection you can have with them on a personal level if you haven't met them before.
For like high school, like senior high school, I went to college. Is
Mhm.
it relevant for that?
Sure. I mean, there's really no harm in putting that on there. You know, it's okay to put that as a third one. You know, you have a lot of education, so you might as well throw it up there. Yeah. All right. So the last one is asking for recommendations. So along with rich media, recommendations is a great way to make your profile come alive with someone else's testimony about how great you are. So you know, even if you don't have a lot of, you guys have asked. Yeah. Sorry. Excuse me. You probably asked for recommendations before from either professors or like old jobs or something. You can do the same thing here on LinkedIn. And when you go to your particular page, there's a whole section about asking for recommendations. And the way you want to go about that is finding somebody, again, who is influential to you, who's maybe written one in the past, a professor that you really connect with here at the university, someone who's kind of become a mentor, just like you would with a regular request for a recommendation. One tip that we found, especially in the corporate world, if you want someone to give you a recommendation, a lot of times it's a good practice to say, and to write up ahead of time what you think they should put in the recommendation. So you could basically say, I'd love if you give me a recommendation. Here's a few things that would be great if you could include, you know, and so really you're basically writing the recommendation for them. Then they can take that and kind of cherry pick the things they like from it. You know, they can say, oh, that's great. He made a great point. I would like to see that. And that makes somebody who has to write a lot of recommendations, like a professor or, you know, a manager of a lot of people, it makes their job a lot easier, and they're more likely to give you a recommendation if you provide a lot of kind of starting copy and starting recommendation stuff for them. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So, you know, that'll definitely help ease things along for them.
Can you do recommendations
From clients? Sure. Yeah, anyone who worked directly with you. So if you work directly with someone, your account executive, and one of your clients loves you. Oh, friends.
No, I said clients.
Oh, clients.
We were friends in the back. No, not friends.
Yeah, from clients, yeah. Somebody you work with in a professional capacity. I'd love my mom to write me a recommendation, but I don't think it's a good idea. But no, clients, absolutely. That's honestly really, really good recommendation if they're willing to give one. That's, I mean, somebody who wants to work with you in the future, having someone who, you know, that's a really great testimony to have. Rather than just your coworker who you sit next to, that's really valuable if it's your client. Any other questions on that? All right, so again, a review of the profile. You got your customized URL, you got your professional photo from around the corner, you got your kind of dynamic descriptive headline, your summaries telling your professional story, who you are and what you do and what you want to do and what you aspire to be, and also a little bit about you right now and what you're passionate about. And then your rich media, your videos, your pictures, your documents. And that's how you really, you know, put together a very solid professional presentation of your brand on LinkedIn. So just again, a list of all the these, and you know, we can always send this over later if this helps. We could send as a follow-up maybe. Oh, here's the recommendation request you can make. You know, when you're asking somebody directly, I would like you to recommend me for this. This is where you could paste in and say, hey, here's something I think would be great if you could include in the recommendation for me. And this is an in-mail best practice. So something I want to talk about that I think is really cool about LinkedIn, which a lot of people I found today didn't really understand, is the ability to find the right person at the company you want to work for and reach out to them. And when you do that, a lot of times you can use what's called in-mail. So you can purchase a certain number of in-mails through LinkedIn to essentially reach out to somebody who you wouldn't be connected with otherwise. Let's say it's the hiring director at the digital agency you want to work for. It's the ability to reach out to them directly. And when that's essentially what professional networking is reaching out to somebody. But you don't want to reach out and say, hey, I see that you went to Syracuse. Can I have a job at your company? Nobody wants to hear that. You feel like you're being used. It's not nice. What people want in the working world is to have somebody reach out and connect with them. Hey, I saw you went to Syracuse. You're working in an industry that I really love. Do you have time to connect maybe over the phone or via email about your experience going from Syracuse to the professional world? That's totally a different type of much more open, much more personal touch than reaching out and just asking directly if you can connect them with the hiring manager. So in these messages and stuff, we really recommend being much more open about that. And the Syracuse connection, I think, is huge. When I have somebody reach out to me who went to Syracuse who says, hey, I went to Syracuse, or I saw you on LinkedIn here. I'd love to talk to you about how you ended up at LinkedIn and what your professional journey was. I'm so much more likely to talk to that person because I love talking to Syracuse alums and Syracuse students. And two, they're much more personal about it and not just asking me for something outright. You want to develop a relationship with the person. So one thing I want to show you guys is when you look at this, I don't know if you've seen, tell me if this breaks the computer or not. So this is LinkedIn. Mine looks a little different because they're beta testing the new head bar and stuff. But what's really cool is when you start searching on Syracuse, the search bar is really, really powerful. And so what we can do here is we can go, someone give me a name of a company that they might want to work for.
LinkedIn.
Other LinkedIn. Oh wait, why'd this stop?
Gee.
Sorry, how do we get the presentation back? No. Oh yeah.
There's only so many.
Okay, cool. So is it Ernst & Young? All right, so we're gonna go, and type in Ernst & Young, just straight up on LinkedIn. And now that we're here in the search, you guys all have this capability even in free stuff. You search Ernst & Young, and then you go down and you look at school, and you get their history. We're gonna type in here Syracuse. All of a sudden, we've just narrowed down, and we're looking at all the people who work at Ernst & Young who went to Syracuse University. That easily. These are all the contacts you can now reach out to and say, hey, Lauren Ottaviano, you're in performance improvement consultant. What does that mean, Lauren? What's performance improvement? How did you get here? All of a sudden, you have this giant list of people who are probably really excited to talk to you because you went to Syracuse. So, using the LinkedIn search to narrow this stuff down. Ernst & Young's a huge company. Let's say we want to find somebody who's in the company who also is in let's say an IT side. So now we know they're working in IT. That's what they do on a daily basis. Here we go. Now we've got a whole list of people who are doing this kind of stuff. You can reach out to any one of these people using either an in-mail or if they have their information on their profile, you can then reach out to them directly. So this is kind of like an underutilized function of using LinkedIn. It's being able to get somebody this easily and see a list. Who knows? You could probably go on either Facebook or the alumni database here at Syracuse and find these people's emails directly and reach out and say, hey, I found you on LinkedIn. It's so great to see another Syracuse alum. Can you tell me how you got to your position? We talk about what you want to do, that kind of thing. Does that make sense? Is that have you guys all seen this, or is this it's just kind of new? I don't know. So it's a really great strategy to work out. One other thing which isn't on the deck that I went through, but I think is a really important part of a profile. So this is my profile. If you guys want to connect with me, that's fine. The last bit is the skills portion. So down here, you'll see there's a giant list of skills. Mine is growing a beard. I think I'm getting pretty good at that. And people can endorse you for it, but endorsements, you can take them as they may. I'm not a big fan of endorsements because right now they don't mean a lot. We're working on making them kind of more valuable. You can edit those and change them. But what's important is you put these skills on your profile, especially if you have a specific industry that you're in, like graduate program, you're researching biochemistry, with different types of engineering or DNA sequencing or something. That's a really specific skill, but that's the kind of thing that recruiters come on LinkedIn and they use to search. So if I was to go in here and look for somebody who's got, give me an example of a skill, kind of a more specific skill set somebody would have.
WordPress.
WordPress. Actually, it's not. Let me try. Sorry, let me try like database engineering. Wait, what did I use earlier? That was a good example. Let's see. With HTML5 skills, this is going to pop up right now. You're going to find people who have HTML essentially right in their profile. So they're going to be searching for these different types of skills. People with financial accountant titles. See, this is going to pop up right away, and this is what they use essentially. And it's like people with financial accountant titles. It'll also search all skills. So if anyone who's got financial accounting in their profile, it'll pop up right to the surface. That's how you know that's what recruiters use to find things. They want to find someone who's got a really specific type of experience with private equity. You know, really type of experience with Google Analytics. You know, they're going to use that and search that directly. So when you've got these cool things you were doing at your internship that aren't just like leadership, you want to put, you know, more specific things on your profile so someone can find that and float that to the surface. For me, I worked with this software called Atlassian Confluence. It's like a wiki software. And that happened to be the reason that the hiring manager at LinkedIn found me, is because LinkedIn uses that software for their wiki and they needed someone as an intern to help them. And he found that on my profile, he saw it on my resume, and that was a little nugget of experience that turned out to get me the job. And so it's little things like that that you have in your profile, of that kind of richness, that help really bring it to life and are going to increase the likelihood that someone is going to reach out to you proactively. Yes.
So if you have a profile, are you more likely to make connections by reaching out or by somebody reaching, like an employer or recruiter?
You know,
finding you?
It's both. It kind of depends on how actively you're seeking. You know, if you're actively job seeking, you should be reaching out to people if you can. You know, finding people in your network, connecting with people who maybe you used to know who might be in your industry. You know, so let's say you went to school with somebody a long time ago, but now they're working in the industry you want to be in. You connect with them, have that conversation, and then go from there. If you're a passive job seeker, meaning you have a job right now, you're not worried about it, you're likely to get a lot more recruiters reaching out to you. So I get that a lot. They'll reach out and say, hey, we have an opportunity coming up. And you can get that as a passive job seeker and an active job seeker. So you're more likely to get recruiters finding you using all these different ways of enhancing your profile when you're searching for a job. You know, and so maybe just by the luck of it or the fate, you'll end up, you know, meeting the right recruiter. I have it to my uncle. He works in manufacturing. He's been searching for a job for 2 years, and someone reached out to him directly on LinkedIn. It was a perfect fit. So it's definitely a combination of both. Any other questions? I went through a ton, I'm sorry, and I talk really quickly. Let's move back to PowerPoint. Yeah, any other questions? Sorry, I wasn't looking at that. Yes.
I might have missed this if I came late, I apologize. But how do you distinguish who you should connect yourself with? Friends that might say, hey, like my LinkedIn, whatever, and you have like business contacts. How do you distinguish who should be there? Because they are a representation.
Totally. That's a really good question. So some people keep their networks very, very tight knit, and they don't connect with people you don't know. And as a rule, you probably shouldn't connect with somebody you don't know. You know, if they're just, you've never met them in person in your life and you never work with them, you kind of respond to their connection request and say, hey, I don't really, you know, accept connections with people I don't know. Do you want to set up a call and have a conversation? Is there something I can help you with? Right. And I think, you know, some people say don't add a lot of friends and family, but you never know where your next kind of opportunity is going to come from. So even though you might have friends now, like if you're a student as a freshman, you're adding all your freshman friends. Right now, there may not be a huge, you know, help with finding a job, but in 5 years from now, 6 years, they might be the one who's working at a company you're really interested in. You're able to kind of connect back through there. So it's okay to connect with these, especially school contacts. You know, someone you work with on a group project, because who knows later on where they're going to be, you know, really important to you. And so who cares, you know, if it's a big network, you have a big network, it's great. And especially business contacts though. For me, my kind of personal rule is I don't really connect on LinkedIn with even my clients who I talk with on a daily basis via email until I met them in person. For me, I just like having that personal touch. So I like to follow up my meeting that I had with them in person with the LinkedIn invite and connection. It's like, hey, it's great to meet you in person today. You know, love to connect, that sort of thing.
Can you talk about the new messaging system they have?
Oh yeah, has that rolled out to anybody? Have you guys noticed that yet?
Yeah.
The new messenger?
Yeah.
Let me just show you guys real quick.
Can you,
So,
like, message anybody on that now, or?
no, so it's really just user interface enhancements. So this is what the messenger looks like now. Did I do it again? Sorry. All right, so this is what it looks like now. So yeah, Charles, I just talked with him earlier. Anywho, so it used to be like a kind of crappy messaging platform. What we really did is we decided that people weren't having conversations on LinkedIn because the messenger wasn't very good. And so we can all admit to that, it was just not that great. Even our CEO was like, yeah, I don't really use it either. So now we've enhanced it, we've made it a lot better. You can't necessarily just message anyone on LinkedIn. That's kind of part of the protecting our members. You don't want people spamming you. If you're a VP or director at Apple, you don't want people constantly messaging you. So you kind of protect our members in that way. But it allows you a better way to have a conversation back and forth. Instead of just sending like kind of a weird email string like it used to be, this is almost like a chat box. Like you would have a full-on conversation back and forth about whatever you reached out about. So this is just what the product ends up looking like. It'll be rolled out, and like over the next month, we're slowly rolling it out to new members. So you guys will see this change in your LinkedIn profile pretty soon. Any other questions? Let's go to my profile.
What's premium get you? Like, what are the big benefits of premium?
So I think as a student, premium isn't totally necessary. Just to be honest, like the enhancements are a lot of enhanced search capabilities. And you get to see who's viewing your profile more. There's some different kind of like data analytics you can see about like your network and stuff. And you get a lot of free in-mails. So you can send messages to whoever you want once you purchase those in-mails, which you can't do normally. For a student, the only thing I would recommend maybe doing is once you're graduated, if you still don't have a job, getting a job seeker account, which gives you increased search and the ability to send those in-mails, which are super valuable. So an in-mail only goes to your LinkedIn inbox, not to your like email inbox. You know, the person you're trying to get to. It's a great way to reach out to someone proactively. So that's the only thing I would ever recommend like really paying for, especially at this stage right now, is purchasing some extra in-mail so you can reach out to those people, or maybe even job seeker, which helps you kind of find opportunities more easily using LinkedIn. The premium for me, I just kind of automatically get it as LinkedIn. But I still use a lot of like the search functionality like I just showed you earlier.
How much is the job seeker?
Good question. I'm not fully on that side. I'm not sure. I don't think it's too bad though. And even in-mails, you want to buy like 5 in-mails, you can buy 5 in-mails, just that. And it's a lot easier. And you use them sparingly, and they can be really, really valuable though.
What's your favorite part of LinkedIn?
I love the feed. So if you guys are new to LinkedIn, like we just have totally in the last 6 months, or really the last 2 years, there's a big focus on content on LinkedIn. So if I scroll through this, it's completely stock full of things that are relevant to me on a daily basis professionally. So I go through here and I've got advertising and marketing things. I've got influencers who I follow who are in the industry, companies that I work with directly, like my clients and stuff are posting. And so for me, it's a great way to kind of keep a pulse on what's going on in the industry, you know, and kind of get a lot of business news for me. So I would recommend if you're job seeking in a particular industry or something like that, go on here and you can subscribe actually in under interests. You can subscribe.
So I'm going to do that. I'm going to find 174 Syracuse University alumni who, now I just did a Syracuse University search. You could do your undergraduate institution. You don't even have to narrow it by institution. You could just see who you know at these different companies. And I can now scroll down through, see all their different titles, and then see who do I, want to reach out to. These are my first degree connections. Maybe I say just show me people that I share a group with. It's awesome to be able to use this tool because you really will find a lot of solid connections that you didn't know you had. You might do a search for Disney and find you've got 15 second degree connections at Disney. Well, who's the person that you know or the people that you know who can make those introductions to people at Disney? Because it's so much about who you know and not necessarily about what your resume looks like and all that jazz. So that's really a big overview of LinkedIn. Like I said, the homepage is really where you're going to be active on LinkedIn, where you can share your updates, let people know what, whoa, that fly is all up in my face. So you can, at least it's not a bee. I'm just afraid I'm going to eat it. And everybody on the computer is probably like, what is the matter with her? Okay, so homepage is where you can do lots of updates to your network profile, where you're going to make those edits. We talked about customizing your URL. We talked about all the different things that you can do. The connections tab, keeping in touch, that becomes your Rolodex. The alumni tool can be really helpful as well. Under education, if you're kind of curious about what to do with your major. And then, of course, joining groups. Once you join groups, they're all going to be here under your groups function. And if you even wanted to start a group for maybe one of your organizations, you can certainly do that as well. So it's incredibly powerful. It's the coolest tool between LinkedIn, between Hire Orange, which even if you're not a tweeter, I said, like, you know, for those of you who are tweeters, but even if you don't do Twitter, you can go to twitter.com/search. I'm not even logged in right now. And I can say, like, just show me every tweet for Hire Orange. And it's going to show me, if I press live, all of the different Hire Orange jobs. And Career Services now puts all of them into a Storify, so a one-stop shop every week. So you can read all of the opportunities that come from Syracuse alumni for Syracuse students or fellow alumni. And then that leads me to just give a quick plug to Working Orange, which is the Twitter handle that Career Services runs. This handle is active every Wednesday, and it is a different Syracuse University alum, and they tweet a day in the life of what they do, how they got their job, advice they have for you, what their office space looks like, and there's just a lot of really cool interaction between students and alumni on that Twitter account. So that you can also take advantage of as well. But I want to make sure in the last few minutes that if you have any questions, let me know. Anything that you wanted to learn, go ahead.
Okay, so I was at the internship page, or that was in jobs, and then under internship, and then I saved the job. Then how do I find out where I saved it?
Where you saved it to? So when you go into jobs, you should be able to see your saved jobs right here where it says save jobs.
Oh yeah, there it is.
There it is, boom, awesome. Anything else you guys can think of? And for those of you who came in late, there are really good resources in the front. And the other link that I mentioned is students.linkedin.com. So if you missed anything today and you go to students.linkedin.com, you just scroll down to where it says see the tips, and all of the resources about building a profile and using it to find an internship, all of them are there. So I would definitely suggest checking out that link. Anything else? Go ahead.
So I can come into Career Services and have you all do my profile because I probably won't be able to see.
Yep, you could go in, you could probably just do a drop-in and have one of the career counselors. That used to be my job too. I was the main chief LinkedIn profile reviewer, but I don't do that anymore. But they are going to hire a new person to do that position, and then any of the career counselors can help you as well, for sure. Good? Awesome. I'm sorry to those of you who walked in late, but like I said, awesome resources up here. You can certainly utilize those. Feel free to use us as a resource, and I really appreciate you coming on this beautiful day. And take more snacks and water. All right? Thank you.
I can ask questions.
Hi, hold on one second.